Guten Tag.
Guten Tag.
I'm here with Candy Panda. I'm going to do one of my grilled interviews. And so if we go way back to the beginning of your time in SK, basically, there was this string of like 3 IEM stops in a row that SK went to. And the first one you went to, you went out in the group stage, but then you got Snoopeh into the team. And then people remember like the next 2 were like progressively better. So you went 3rd, then you went 2nd. Was bringing Snoopeh into the team like some big catalyst? Was the team already like on that upward trajectory? What do you think it was?
I think even when we didn't have Snoopeh, we were one of the best teams at the time. But we went out of group stage because we played with CLG and fnatic in that group stage, which was the hardest group. So we were just unlucky and lost to both of them, and then we just went out. And then when we got Snoopeh, it got a little bit better, but he wasn't like the reason we suddenly went to the 2nd place of the world in that time.
And one of the interesting things about those 3 tournaments in a row is that in all 3 you played CLG, this NA team who at the time, when they won the Clone event, were considered like the best team. And so in the first one you lost them in the group stage, in the second one they beat you in the actual bracket, and then the third one you finally beat them and you got to the final. Since people always think of them as like they were the best team in the world at the time, were they actually like that good at the time? Like how good were they, and how was playing against them?
I think at that time they were one of the best teams, simply because they had a lot of skill. Like back in that time, you just needed to have a lot of skill. You just need to play individually good, and you didn't need to have the biggest team play ever. So they were really skilled, and they had good team comps as well. I remember one time we played with them in China. It was like against full AoE comp with Cannon, Galio, Amumu, and we got totally stomped. So they were a really good team back then. Yeah.
Because the reason this story is weird is because you get Snoopeh into the team, he comes in, gradually the results are sort of going up, so it looks like, oh, SK might actually win an event now, and then suddenly Snoopeh and Wickd leave the team and you have to sort of reboot all over again. When you saw those guys go off to make CLG, and obviously that became like a really good team the next year, and you guys kind of had to rebuild again, and then you've had all these problems along the way, you have to keep getting a different 5th player, a different position. Is there any degree to which you kind of feel like there was like a missed opportunity there? Like, was it ever actually possible that Snoopeh and Wickd could have stayed in the team? Was it just some small issue that made them leave?
I think when Wickd left, like his reasoning was that we weren't friends as much, which I guess was kind of true, but for me it was still fine, you know. I mean, I didn't hate him or anything, but he left at that time when I think I was on vacation or something, and when I came back I suddenly read the news, Wickd left. So that was kind of a big shock, to be honest. I really liked him actually. So then we were like, okay, we have to find a new top laner. We have to get going again, get motivated again. But then Snoopeh left as well, and it was like it took all our motivation at that time. Yeah, so.
When you think of the style of play they had in Season 2 is so famous, everyone thinks of that style and just their names immediately, the stall out style. Were they similar players when they were in SK? Were they playing a similar style? Did they change it? What did you think?
No, they always played aggressive. Wickd especially was one of the best top laners, if not the best top laner at the time. When we played, he always won his lane. I could always count on him. He was really aggressive. Snoopeh as well. I mean, he played Nocturne, Gangplank, I remember. Lee Sin, I think he played a bit. Don't remember so good, but he played aggressive AD junglers, bruiser junglers. So he was aggressive as well. But when he left, then they started developing a new style with CLG EU at that time.
One other little bit I noted actually, when you were at the IEM New York event, so just before those guys left, you actually got to play against Curse when they had Doublelift there. And that was when Doublelift was actually the AD carry for Curse. And so, yeah, so the reason I wanted to ask was, they weren't a good team at the time, they didn't do very well at that tournament, but everyone knows the next year when Doublelift goes to CLG and he plays with Chauster, everyone says, oh, he made him into this incredible AD, and now he's very, very hyped, obviously, in his position. Like, was he some like great player back then? Was he any good? It seems like you don't even remember it, really.
I actually don't remember playing them, no. At that time, I think personally I was one of the top 3 ADs in the world. Probably I played a lot. I played really good.
Who else was in the category, do you think?
Lamia Zealot from fnatic in that time. Also, probably probably the WeiXiao. Was he in Gigabyte? Yeah, he was in World Elite back then. When they won China, he was definitely really good. And I think those are the top 3 at that time. And then about Doublelift, I don't think it was that great back then. I don't remember actually, but I don't remember anything particular in his play that really stood out to me till now.
What do you think of him now since then? Because I mean, since then he gets a lot of hype and people say mechanics are great. What do you think of him? Skill-wise, we're talking.
I think when I watch the NA games and the CLG games and I watch him play, I think he's overrated, if I'm honest.
Ah, okay. In what sense?
Like, look, the thing is, when I watch Chinese people or Korean ADs, I can always learn a thing, you know. I always look and I can, oh, they do this, I do this, I can learn a bit. When I watch NA in general play and Doublelift as well, I don't learn anything. I just see and I don't understand what they're doing. I don't think this is so great, I think to myself. So I think he's overrated. I think he's not even the best AD in NA at the moment. I think right now Wild Turtle is really, really strong.
Oh, okay. People always say, that's one of the few criticisms that the EU region gets. People say, okay, we've got these great mid laners, we've got some good top laners as well. But the one position people tend to say isn't that strong is AD, because they say, well, we haven't got so many superstar names there.
In EU?
Yeah, EU. I mean, you're saying you think Doublelift's a bit overrated. Who are some like EU AD carries who are actually like as good as him? Are there any?
I think Genja is, for sure. I think Yellowstar can hold up to him. The test got better recently as well. Like, we scrim versus them a lot and I really noticed how he got a lot better. I'm not sure if they could actually beat them, but I'm sure the lane would be even probably. But the ones who can beat him in EU are probably Genja and me, I would say.
I mean, are you impressed with him mechanically though? Are mechanics overrated in that sense?
Yeah, the thing I noticed, I mean, when I watch him play, there are like 3 things I noticed. First is that he picks bad matchups for himself. Like when the other team picks AD support, he always picks like something I don't understand that should normally lose. And then I see that he sometimes builds weird items, which I don't understand either, which are bad for the matchup. But he makes it up with mechanical play. Like, he often outplays them, he last hits better, and that's what gets him ahead.
So after that period where you had, so once you switched from not having Snoopeh and Wickd anymore, in the first part of 2012, you were one of the teams who actually got to play Moscow 5 in the offline tournaments a bunch. You got to play them in Kiev, obviously, and then in the group stage in Hanover. Everyone remembers now, this is when they became like the super duper team who were the best and all the rest. What did you actually think of them like early on? Were you convinced like they are really that good? Did you ever think like people were overhyping them? What do you think?
At that time, I thought they were really good. I mean, at that time, only ocelote did our interviews, and in every interview he said like, it's just a phase. They just go through a phase right now where they just play something new to their own everyone. But I knew for myself that they're a really good team, and I think I would think they would stand on the top. So yeah, I think back then they were a really good team.
You were saying there that you rate Genja highly of the European ADs, but in his team, to some degree, obviously he gets a bit overshadowed in terms of fame by like Diamond Prox and Alex because they're such big names at their roles. I remember reading old Alex interviews, and he used to say that he thought like Genja was like the strongest player in their team. This is a while back. Is there something about his style of play where in Moscow 5 or Gambit now, he just doesn't, you don't see what he's doing? What is he so good at?
I think he's really good at the moment. You don't see it so much because you have people like Diamond Prox, Alex, like you said, who just are really, really good. But when I play with him, he's the only AD carry who gives me problems, personally.
What kind of problems do you have?
Because he has perfect lane control. I mean, if you play against him, you will often find yourself pushed up to their side, and he will gank you, and Diamond Prox will come to gank you, and they have really good lane control. If they don't want you to get creeps, then they will make it really hard for you to get creeps, and vice versa. If they want to do it, then they will just freeze the lane on their side, and then if you want to push them in, they will trade with you, and they often have champions like Trash, Misfortune, who can trade really, really good. So you can't touch the creeps anymore. You can either trade with them, lose creeps, or go for the creeps and lose HP and lose the lane by that. So it's really hard to play against them. You need a better matchup, and you need to be wary of the ganks. Because if you actually can beat them, then mostly diamond procs will come from an unwarded spot in your jungle, and he will just gank you and you die anyway.
In terms of their bot lane, okay, so Genja and Edward, there was a time, people now are rating Edward very highly, and we saw in this All-Star voting, he did very well, but in the past, he was probably the name on their whole team who got the least, like, star power off their victories, and people used to joke and say they just, like, feed him kills to even give him anything in the game, you know? So if we talk about the synergy of their bot lane, like, how from your perspective does it operate? Like, if you're playing against them, what does one do and what does the other do in response, you know?
Mostly Edward prepares the kills, like he hooks, or he's the one with ignite as well, so he's the one who gets the most of the kills. So mostly it's Edward setting up the kills and doing the damage, while Genja just follows up and cleans up and farms. That's what he does.
How does your bot lane with Nyph differ then? What do you guys do differently? What are your strengths that you play off each other?
I think that I'm the one who's more aggressive. Nyph always likes to stay back. He's used to the old style from season 1 with Soraka, Janna, Sona. We can just stay back, poke a bit. But I always have to remind him that we have to go aggressive. And he does it really well at the moment. He also plays Thresh and Elise, so he got more aggressive by that. So we do it way better at the moment. I think right now we don't have many weaknesses. Maybe what you can say is that we sometimes get caught. Probably that's the worst thing we do. We sometimes get caught. But overall, I think we're really strong. We have good synergy.
You've played in your whole career a long time with Nyph. Even if we take out the moment where you were out of SK, I calculated and you've played like over 20 months together. So this is supposed to be one of the longest bot lanes in history. Like, where do you rank yourselves as an overall bot lane when you think of the other really strong ones in the world? Like, where do you think of yourself?
Overall, or just in
anyone you can
in recent times?
Yeah, in modern day, I mean.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like how we rate ourselves in the world.
How strong?
Like, okay.
What are your particular strengths as a team? You know.
Okay. I think we tend to dominate our bot lane. I mean, if we win our bot lane, which we do versus most people, because not many bot lanes are as strong as we, and our team is putting pressure as well, we can dominate the game from that. I think that's one of our strengths, because when we have advantage over their bot lane, we abuse it really hard. So if the other team can't gank us because our other lanes are putting pressure as well, we can snowball really hard from that. So I think it's a great advantage we have. I would rate that really high.
You must know that obviously of your team especially, Nyph is someone who doesn't get very much popularity. People don't notice it even if the team wins. What does he do differently from the other top supports? What does he do in particular that helps you out? Like, how would you describe his role?
I mean, because he doesn't get so much fame, it's mostly because he just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to do interviews, or he doesn't want to publish his image on Facebook or anything like that. And in-game wise, I mean, like, he's more supportive than other supports, I would say. Like, he's more the traditional support, as I said before. Like, he sticks to me, he supports me, and while other supports maybe go roam and try to get kills in other lanes. So, but I like that. I mean, it's my playstyle. I'm used to that so much. As you said, we played for 20 months together, so I'm really used to that. And I mean, Nyph he's doing most of the strategy actually. He's a bit of the support in real life as well. He often cleans up, he buys food, and he does a lot of strategy, he does a lot of research, and he's overall a really supportive guy, in game and real life.
I read an interview with Creaton, the support for EG, and someone asked him to describe like what's the difference between like an okay support and what's like a really good support. And one of the differences he highlighted was that a really good support should know like they should have the balls to like go into team fights, but then they should also not die in every single one. So it's like a balancing act between the two, you know, because if they're too passive, then they're not going to be able to help out that much. Like, how would you rate Nyph on this? Because you were saying he's a bit passive. Like, how is this like an area that's difficult for him? What do you think?
I mean, he doesn't play go-in supports normally. He doesn't play Tarek, he doesn't play Blitzcrank, he doesn't play Leona. The only go-in support he plays is Trash, and when he plays him, he plays really well. He plays him balanced. I mean, he goes in. He dies for his team if he needs to, but he won't die if he doesn't need to. So he does it really well, even if he plays aggressive supports, which he normally isn't used to.
There was an interesting story, actually, just leaving this topic of Nyph, where I haven't heard many people say this, but I think I read it in maybe an AMA of yours or something, where most people think of the period when you went in SK and you came back to SK, and they think they're not sure if did let Yellowstar leave, was he kicked, did they bring Candy Panda in? And you gave this story where you said that when you were trying out for fnatic, you know, things were going well, you thought maybe I'm going to join fnatic, and you sort of thought one day, well, wait a minute, Yellowstar has already played with nRated before, and they're a really good bot lane, and I've played with Nyph before, and really good bot lane, so why don't we just swap bot lanes essentially, and Yellowstar goes to fnatic, I come to SK. Were you like, was this just like a funny story, or is this really how it went down? It's like really how the idea came about?
Well, the thing was that the time Yellowstar and SK were in LA playing the Season 2 finals, I tried out for fnatic because Lamia Zelle left, and I just left mouse spots. So it went really well. I played for them for like 3 weeks. I mean, they didn't tell me officially that I would join, but it felt really good, and I think they were all really happy with me. So I think I could have joined if I wanted to. But then I saw that Yellowstar left fnatic, SK I mean, and then it was like this. Then I was like, why shouldn't I play with Nyph? oAZ is doing great again. They just beat CG in the Season 2 regionals. I think they're good again. And I think the things in the past are gone, so why not join them?
When you were actually joined Mouse Sports, an interesting player I want to bring up, because you never see him mentioned nowadays, is MoMa. So you played with this a famous German player, but he's only really known to people from like last 2/3 of 2012 backwards. So in Season 1 he was a very famous player, Season 2 sort of, and after that you don't really hear him anymore. He's not really in any top teams. Like, was he always one of the best German players? How would you describe this guy to people who haven't necessarily watched him yet?
It was kind of weird because he never played a lot, but he was still one of the best players. I mean, when I was with him in the team, he never played like 24/7. I mean, he traveled a lot to his girlfriend, he spent a lot of time with his girlfriend, which is fine, you know, he performed still, so it was really nice, but I didn't quite understand it, how he can perform so good. But overall, Season 1, Season 2, he was one of the best German players, I would say. One of the best German mids, for sure. With Citizen Wayne, and I think that's it. I think those two.
When you were in Mouse, so you have this really good online tournament first, where you beat like M5, I think. You beat SK as well.
Oh yeah, true.
So initially it looked like, wow, this new team might really work out. Then you had the campus party tournament, which was like, okay, I think you came 3rd there.
Yeah.
But then after that, your team just sort of like disappeared, disbanded. Like, what happened with that team? Like, was it a team that actually had like potential to become like a good team? I mean, why did it just fall apart like that?
I think it had potential, but the players on the team they didn't have the mindset to really go to the top world level. They just wanted to kind of stay like in the middle. They didn't want to try hard too much. They didn't want to go casual either, so they were just kind of floating around in the middle. So I didn't really want that, and yeah, I got fed up with it and I left.
In terms of Yellowstar, since we mentioned it before, I mean, you guys across your careers have played in like all opposing teams almost the whole way. When I did my interview with Ocelote, he was actually, even though he like blamed him to some degree for them doing bad at World Finals because he said he couldn't practice, he actually was very complimentary, and he said, you know, Yellowstar's amazing because he can do calls from AD carry position and stuff. And people were expecting fnatic to go down a lot after Rekkles left, but actually they've done pretty well with Yellowstar. So what do you make of Yellowstar as a player? Like, what is he good at? What impressed you about him?
I mean, the reason why fnatic went downhill when Rekkles left is simply because all the other players are amazing. When I played with them too, I could have played whatever and they would have carried me through. So for fnatic it doesn't really matter which AD they take, as long as he's not like really bad. But Yellowstar's a really strong AD, probably the 3rd best in Europe right now. So I think he's really good, yeah. I think him making calls from AD is really hard. When I tried in SK, I noticed my gameplay goes worse, way worse. So it's really tough to make calls as AD. I respect that. It's really good.
If we talk about Fnatic, actually this period we were just mentioning here, so when they had Rekkles in the team, because that times up with when they had this like really cool spike at the end of the year, everyone thought, you know, Fnatic's like just mid-tier now, they're not going to be a team who wins events, etc. Then suddenly they did, they won DreamHack, then they became like second at IPL, and so everyone's like, wow, they're doing really, really well. So people obviously are going to think, oh, well, Rekkles came in the team, therefore Rekkles must be the reason why, etc. But when I actually saw a lot of the NA players like Chaucer and Doublelift were kind of like, they weren't very impressed by Rekkles, let's put it that way. They sort of said like, okay, he's good, but he also sort of carried by having like a sick top lane, a sick mid lane, and that's the reason why he looks so good, you know. Does the fact that he's left and Fnatic's still an elite team, is there any merit to what they were saying there, do you think?
I mean, yeah, it's a bit true. So when Rekkles left, as I said before, like it didn't really matter which AD they take, they just gonna carry everyone. However, when I played with Rekkles at the time, he was good in lane. He was good in team fights. He did really well. It was a bit of both, actually. Fnatic really are good as a team, but also every player is really good individually. So it's a bit of both.
I mean, if we think about AD position, obviously in Season 2, it seemed like it was stronger than it is now, because if we look at some of the more successful teams, their ADs were really having a huge impact in Season 2, and then in Season 3, a lot of those teams like seem to have dropped back at least a little bit. Like, do you think this is the case? Like, how have you found it affect your own play, you know?
Yeah, ADs got nerfed a lot. I mean, they nerfed so many items, they buffed so many defensive items, like Runaways, Warmorks, and they brought like mid-bruisers into the game, like Kha'Zix and Zed. Everything makes AD harder to play. So overall, ADs are still needed, but they can't carry a game alone. I mean, if you need a good frontline to tank a bit for you, everyone will just pile on you and you will just die immediately. Before you could still kite them and kill them in like 3 shots, but that's not possible anymore, sadly.
Since whenever you talk about ADs, people always mention, okay, Doublelift, WeiXiao, these are the 2 first names that come out of everyone's mouths. Since they're such famous mechanical players, people think, okay, so AD must be all about mechanics, you have to have amazing mechanics. A lot of other roles in the game, like some, say jungle, for example, if you're just very smart, good map awareness, you could get away without having like the best mechanics. Can you be like the best AD without the best mechanics?
I don't think you can be the best AD without good mechanics. I think you can only be the best AD if you have everything good. Else you wouldn't be the best. Like, you need to have good map awareness, you need to have good mechanics, you need to have good lane control, good synergy with your support. You have to understand every part of the game really well, and then you become the best AD carry. It's like this in everything. If you want to be the best, you have to be good at everything. I mean, you can't be the best if you really fail hard at one thing.
How do your mechanics like rate up against people who are very strong in this area?
Actually, I never pay attention to that. I think my last hits are fine. I think I don't get outplayed by too many people. So I think my mechanics are up to par with the world.
When I was talking before, okay, so you guys got to play M5 really early on, when they were like on the rise, and then everyone remembers throughout 2012, at least in Europe, they were like the team, and then CLG maybe outside of them. I was reading some interview comments that you made where you said that before LCS, like you never scrimmed them. And when I was talking to some other teams who are actually in LCS, they said we never scrim Gambit even now. Right. So is it really the case that during this whole 2012 you never got to like practice versus Gambit? Was it just now you didn't play them?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Gambit always throughout Season 2, what they did was play rank queue. They didn't scrim, they just played rank queue. So no one was able to scrim versus them for extended period of times. Maybe they would scrim like 2 games, that's it. Or maybe they would play versus them 1 game in the rank queue, but overall they never scrimmed anyone. So that's true. So
I mean, can other teams follow this model, or does Gambit have some special talent that we're not aware of? Because they're the one team outside of Asia that everyone can still put up there, like this could still be the best team in the world, you know. So what if they have this weird practice method? How does it work for them but not for others, you know?
I mean, it makes sense a bit, because back then I don't think you could watch what they played in the rank queue. There wasn't this history, so you couldn't scout them. As well, when we play ranked with SK, you feel like you play for something. I mean, you play for like a bit of elo, bit of points, so maybe the people get more motivated. I think playing ranked back then was totally fine. It didn't matter if you scrim or play ranked for me.
In SK, in the offline tournaments, obviously you didn't beat M5. You beat them in this online tournament where they did lose a few times online anyway. But you made a comment about what it takes to beat them, and you said this quote, okay, to beat them, you have to bring them out of their rhythm and force them to play versus a worse matchup. That was like your sort of prescription for how you beat them, okay? I'm not sure when.
I know I said.
Okay. I think it was maybe on your AMA or something, so it can't have been that long ago. Like, what did you mean by that exactly? Can you elaborate a bit?
I think what they do normally when they play, Diamond Procs always ganks the same lanes at the same time, kinda, and they always play kind of the same type of champions, which is dominate the lane and snowball from there. So what I meant with bringing them out of the rhythm is playing champs like Ashe, TF, Shen, who can like split push a lane and then make them, having them to break from their strategy, right? Putting them out of the comfort zone. And then also I said having the better matchups, which is just having better lane matchups, simply because they rely really hard on dominating the lane. So if you can beat them in the lane, you can snowball from there instead of them snowballing on you.
There was obviously a time when people thought they are like the best team in the world, and since then people are always just going to now pick between the different Asian teams. Like, do they think it's someone from China or someone from Korea? Do you still think like Gambit's like at that level, like they can be the best team in the world?
I don't think anyone can know that, because the last time Gambit played versus Asians was in MLG Dallas versus KT Rollstar B, and they lost 2-1.
I think so,
yeah, they lost 2-1. So that's the only thing you can take of that. I mean, they didn't play World Elite, IG, TPA, anyone from CJ Entus or MVP. So that's the only thing you can judge. And going 2-1 was one of the best Korean teams. It shows that they're still on the top level. Maybe not the best top 3 or top 5, but definitely top 10 in the world.
Sure. In some tournaments, you actually got a chance to play against Frost. I think you played them once or twice in like group stage games, I think it was. And obviously, they have like a really interesting bottom lane, because it's like the opposite of how people think of most bottom lanes. So most bottom lanes is like some sick AD carry and then some support whose job is like keep him alive, like do everything. This is like the other way around though, because people think this Mad Life guy, he's like God at support position, and then people say like they can put anyone with him and he'll like sort of give that guy kills and tell him what to do. You actually played against them. Like, how different was it to play this bottom lane with like Woong and Mad Life?
It's not too different from other bot lanes. The thing is, when we played versus them, we never lane swapped. At that time, we never lane swapped. So actually, I didn't play them. We just stood in our lane while they lane swapped us, and they just dominated us through that. But I have to say that when you look at Woong, what I heard from him is that he makes a lot of calls as well as AD. He does a lot of strategizing in the pick spawns. And as I said before, if you do that as an AD, it takes from your play, because it takes a lot of concentration that you would normally spend on the map or on the last hits or on something else to do calls. So, I mean, if he wouldn't do the calls for his team, I'm sure he would be just as good as other ADs. So you couldn't put anyone there, because if you put anyone there, not anyone can do calls as AD. So Woong is important.
What was interesting was when I looked into a lot of the other European ADs that they've been through history, actually this is one of the positions in Europe where Germany has like the most representation, because you have like you have Liumi, who used to be in Eclipsia and Acer, then you have Lamia, used to be in Fnatic, and Yellow Pete obviously in EG. So quite a lot of German players at this one position, yet at some of the other top positions, like there's not that many German players who are like elite level players, you know. Is there any particular reason? Is there like a German style to AD or something?
I have no idea actually. I played with Yellow Pete back in 2010 when we played in one team. Then he played AD as well a bit, and I played mid. Sometimes he played mid and I played AD. I think he just stuck to AD then. He just liked it more. And with the other two, I have no idea. Lumi actually plays mid right now.
Oh, okay.
He swapped.
What do you what's your opinion then on the EG bot lane? Because EG have this thing where in 2012, sure, they had this one style of play, but it was really effective, and everyone thought like, wow, you know, even when they lose, it's like they have to be really beaten by an excellent team, so everyone thought they'll always be a top team, and now they've kind of dropped off a bit. Like, is there anything to do with like their bottom lane there? Like, what do you think, how does their bottom lane match up nowadays?
I think their bottom lane got worse. I mean, even in Season 2, they mostly got dominated by other bot lanes most of the times. And right now, you can notice it even more because their style doesn't work anymore. So even if they lose now, people can snowball on them, which they couldn't do before. I think what they have to do, they lack practice, I think. I think when I see them play solo queue or watch their streams, I always try to scout other players. They just play every game something different. They don't play like one champion 5 games in a row to really get them into practice. They just play everything different, and I don't think they have any picks that are really scared. Like when I play with them, when I play with Edward, I think, oh my god, he's trash, we have to ban him, we have to do something against him. But when I play with them, I think this is gonna be an easy bot lane. We don't have to do anything special, we just have to play our game.
Since you were mentioning that, okay, so you watch other players and sometimes you scout them, etc. Is there since we've talked about some famous AD carries in Europe, is there some AD who people don't necessarily think of like immediately as some great AD in Europe who's good, where you've watched him and you think he's a lot better than people give him credit for, you know?
In Europe, as I said before, I think Tess got a bit better recently. He's not like up to par yet, but
What is he good at?
I mean, he in general he got better. It's just not just one thing. He got better. Like when we first started playing LCS, he only played Ezreal. I think that was the only champion he played, and not even at that time Ezreal was nerfed a lot, so he wasn't even that good. But now he broadened his champion pool. When we scrim versus him, he played like 4 different champions, all on a good level. So overall, he really improved a lot.
When I was trying to think for a similar answer to that question myself, so a player who's not an LCS, for example, and so I came up with maybe Makler from MYM, because they seem to be like a team on the rise. What do you think of this guy?
I don't think he's that good, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, he seems good because he plays really aggressive, and he can capitalize of that. But if you know how he plays, you can just gank him and he will always be overextended, so you can abuse that really hard. But a player that's outside of the LCS that's really good, I would say MME Mr. Rekkles, he's called.
Okay, never heard of him.
He was in a team that recently qualified for the Season 3 summer promotion thingy, Uncle Ruku's Revenge. But he got kicked recently, I don't know why, but I think when I play with him, he always puts a lot of pressure while not overextending. I think he's one of the best ADs, not in LCS.
Okay, I have another one to ask then. So, Creaton, because I mean, Millennium was a decent team and now he's gone to alternate. Like, what do you think of him?
I didn't play him too much when I played him. It wasn't anything special, we just played standard versus them. I mean, he's certainly good, comparing them to other non-LCS ADs, but he's not like, this guy belongs into LCS, he's so good or anything like that.
Do you actually watch like Asian teams play? Do you ever watch the Chinese or the Koreans?
I watch every game, every good game. In China it's from IG, World Elite and OMG and PE and there's one more team, but I don't remember the name. But if I don't watch the games, I at least watch the picks, how they pick, and I try to think, why do they pick this? How come they pick this? Is there any reason why they ban this? And I do the same with the good Korean games as well.
So if you're watching some of the Chinese games then, is the hype around WeiXiao merited? Because I mean, the way some people talk about him, they talk about him as well, he's like the best player in all of League of Legends, like by far and stuff, you know, what do you think?
As an AD, I certainly look stuff from him up a lot. When I played Graves in the LCS in Europe, and I got like a 35 KDA the first 2 weeks I played him, that was from him actually. I saw him play it and I thought, He's not played in Europe at all. Why shouldn't I try him? And he worked really good. So I think it's. I mean, he certainly deserves all the fame he gets. I'm sure. I didn't play with him yet in recent times. I would love to. I would have loved to in the All-Star, but sadly I couldn't go. But I think when I would play with him, he would probably come out ahead a bit. So,
I mean, we've talked already, like, WeiXiao's mechanics very, like, up there, and you're saying, like, you take things from him. What is there anything he's good at, like, better at than all the other ADs? Is he just, like, a very good version of everything? What do you think it is about him?
I think one thing that struck me when I saw him play was the amount of champions he plays. I think his champion pool is really wide. I saw him play Cockmore, Graves, Caitlyn, Israel, and like 3 other ADs no one would have thought of. Same as his support. I saw them play Dami and Genja and Sona and every support ever. So I think one thing that's really strong about them is the champion pool.
When I was looking through old interviews of yours, from way back in 2011, when I was thinking of the Doublelift question, like what you thought of him, you'd actually said, someone had asked you who you thought the best AD was at the time, and you actually said Chaox, the guy who just got kicked from TSM recently. Do you remember why you thought he was so good at that time? Because people at the time, you know, his TSM weren't that famous back then, you know.
Right, I think that was the time when they actually won everything in NA, wasn't it?
I think it was just before. It was like
was it 2012 just before?
Was when they won all the tournaments, yeah.
Oh, right. Maybe they just won like 2 tournaments or something. And I think like the whole last year, before he got into a slump, at like season 2, a bit before that, I think he didn't really play that good. He didn't seem too practiced. But before that, I mean, his Graves is famous. He kind of played Graves a lot and it was really strong. He played with Genja in the Kiev, and he did fine with Genja, who normally always rolls everyone. And at that time, he was really good.
When people think of the stereotypical AD carry, I mean, everyone says, you know, the idea is you have to protect him early and then eventually he gets really strong, and if you can get him to survive to the late game, then he carries the lane for you, you know. Like, how possible in the current meta actually is it to have like really aggressive early, like level 1 type stuff with AD? Is it even viable at all?
Like Draven and like all-in stuff?
Sure. Or even just more aggressive earlier.
More aggressive, I mean, if it works out, it's fine. If you can play it good, it's good. But if you can play good and you just play because you want to play aggressive, then it will fail because the other team may be passive, but if you fail to be aggressive, they can go aggressive on you, and then you're in a bad spot because you're full out aggressive. You don't have anything to defend yourself, so it can backfire really, really hard. But people who play Leona good or Blitzcrank good, they can play them because they will only go aggressive at times where they can actually go aggressive. Where the jungler's not near, channeled from the enemy is not up, anything like that. And then they will normally come out ahead.
When we look at the teams who've been really surprising in this season of LCS, so the two that come to mind obviously is EG's done much worse than people thought, and actually SK I think has done a bit better, because most people before the season would probably have picked SK to be 4th of those teams.
Yeah, maybe even less.
Sure, but I mean that's like roughly where, and instead you guys are 3rd by like a solid margin at the moment. So when I was talking to some other teams about why they think that is, one of the reasons people mentioned was they think that your team does like the most strategical work, like looking up stuff. And obviously with it being best of 1, in theory, if you can come up with something that works one time, like a cool strategy they're not expecting, it's going to be very good compared to best of 3, you know? How much of this is true, do you think? How much of your success comes down to this?
I mean, we don't cheese, like we don't prepare anything for just one best of 1, but we do a lot of research. Before every game, we used to sit down 20 minutes, and talk about what they're gonna pick, what they're gonna ban, what we are gonna ban and pick. We had like 5 scenarios, what they could ban, what they could pick, and we had everything prepared in our book, was this book. So at that time, people were really predictable. That's why we could do it. And we won a lot of games because of that. Because we simply, before the game even started, because the Champ Select even started, we already had everything planned out. and they couldn't cheese us because everyone just played what they played the week before. So that was really easy to win a lot of games with that. But nowadays it's not so easy anymore because people change their playstyle. The lower teams adapt to the higher teams' playstyle, so they try to change and come up with new stuff all the time. And nowadays we just have to play stable and we can't strategize so much anymore. We just try to out-execute them. I mean, if someone tries to cheese you, even if their setup is better, if you execute your setup so well that there's basically no weakness, then no cheese in the world can do anything to you.
Because the one downside of the regular season being best of one is that then people will wonder, okay, so SK did good in this regular season, EG didn't do so well, but when we get to best of 3 in playoffs, like, will suddenly EG's disadvantage not be so much? Will SK still be as good? Like, how do you think it will affect things? Or do you think like the regular season's been like an accurate representation of how good people are?
Yeah, I think it is. I think even though it's best of 1, generally speaking, it's basically a best of 4 because every team plays each other team 4 times. So in the best of 3s, I think we will be even better because we rely on our stable play, on our standard play, while other teams may rely on their cheese or whatever. And EG will be better as well because they rely on the standard play as well and not rely on cheese. So both teams will be better in best of 3s.
So from what we've seen in the season so far, your team is third. You're decently above EG at least. But the two who are ahead, Fnatic and Gambit, look like they're like a little notch above, you know. So for you guys, like, it's going to be crucial to obviously to break into this top 2. But you're a little bit behind. So what does it take to crack the top 2? Is there something special that has to happen? Or is it already like, is the gap closing? How do you feel about this scenario? Because it seems like it's going to be hard from the outside.
What Fnatic and Gambit have, it's like a small thing. It's a small thing, but in top play, even small things can change everything. And I think what they have above us is they do less mistakes and they pick better champions. They have the OPs before it's generally known that they're OP, which they abuse really hard. I mean, LCS played Kha'Zix, I think, in week 2 or 3 when no one knew he was that OP, or that as well. Genja and Edward, they played Trash and Misfortune all the time. Before it was known that it was OP. Diamond Prox played Volibear, who were incredibly OP. So that's what they have above us. They do less mistakes and they have better champions.
The position everyone always associates with Europe is mid. And I've even heard players say about Season 3 that like mid is the position. Like if you have a super strong mid guy, like you could just win the game if he wins his lane. Obviously the weird thing is, so Froggen in EG, Alexic, and xPeke, obviously these very strong mid players representing Europe, but your team's actually ahead of EG, even though they in theory have a stronger mid player, and you've got a player who's not playing that like all-star mid style. He's playing more of like picking for team fights and more of like almost a support mid style. So how is your team making that work when people are thinking that the meta is sort of geared towards mid, you know?
I think people are thinking that because in Europe there are so many star players that are in the mid position. Every team has a star player. If you think of any team, there's always one name that just pops into your head, who just carries every game from them. And in Europe, it just happens to be that most of them are mid. I mean, Bjergsen, Alexic, Froggen, xPeke. And then there's ocelote, who's not the star player. I mean, he plays fine, but you can't have 5 players who are the best on their positions, because someone always needs to get the most farm or needs to get the most support. And that's always, mostly that's a mid player. For us it's not the mid player, that's why Osa is a bit behind. I mean, Alex and xPeke are always a bit better, but they're not so much better that Osa couldn't be the star mid player that carries every game. It's more like that we don't support him enough to be really carrying every game. For us it's more Kevin and me.
So that's something, when I've read comments about SK, people have been praising Kevin's play a lot. They've been saying, I mean, a lot of people thought he was like an actual contender for the all-star spot at the top because people thought Wicked wasn't so good now. Ocelote said this funny comment in one of my interviews that got people a bit annoyed, where he said he thought Kevin's actually better than Voyboy, who everyone holds up as like this all-star guy in America. Was he exaggerating at all? Like, how good is Kevin, and like, what are his strengths in that sense?
I mean, he can't know it. I don't know how good Wübbelmann is compared to Kevin, because they never played each other in the last year, I think. But in Europe, from what I see when he plays, he normally wins his lane. He kind of reminds me of Wickd when we were together in SK, because I could always rely on him to be a threat mid and late game, which he is right now.
How does he rank up though against, for example, someone like sOAZ, who people are going to put forwards now as like the best top laner in Europe? Like, what differences, what strengths?
I mean, they play a different game, not because of them, but because their teams play a different game. fnatic's really reliable on picking people off, while we are really reliable on winning team fights. And in lane, I think Kevin, when we play with fnatic, Kevin is always like, I want to get the 1v1 with sOAZ, because I'm going to stomp him and we're going to snowball from that. So 1v1, I think Kevin is better, but the playstyle that fnatic plays fits sOAZ really well, so he kind of is equal to Kevin.
Okay, so the one member of your team we didn't talk about, the new guy, Herkbot. This was a position that SK has been cycling people through the jungle, trying to get someone. And so sometimes there'd be like one good tournament, then you have to switch back to another someone. Like, a lot of people are obviously, like I said with the Rekkles example for fnatic, since SK is doing better, they're going to think, oh, well, the guy who came in must be doing really, really well. Like, how much of it is him coming into the team, and like, what style is he playing in this team?
When he came into the team, we played really good, as you always do. When you swap a player, you always play good for the next 3 weeks. The thing is, if you still play good afterwards, because if a new player comes in, everyone gets motivated again, everyone wants to win again, you respect each other more. But after a period and you get to know each other, it becomes worse again, most of the times. But with Herkbot it was different, because we all kept being motivated, so we all just improved, and now he's like part of our team, and we're still just as good as we started, probably even better. And when he joined, I noticed that I get better ganks, Kevin got better ganks, ocelote got better ganks. He just had the timings right. That's the biggest thing on a jungler. The jungler has to get the timings right. He needs to be at the right time, at the right spot at the right time. And he did that perfectly, and he still does it perfectly.
Okay, so for my last one, I'm going to do one of my hypotheticals, but I'm going to like tailor this one to you, okay? So, as always, aliens come to Earth, because always has to be the question. But this time, they say, you know, we're going to destroy the Earth, but we'll offer you a chance to play a game of League of Legends to see if you can save the fate of the Earth. But since Candy Panda is the captain of this team, we know there have been so many famous German players. You have to put together a team, all-time German team. So every position, I need the best German player to save the Earth, you know.
Okay. So top and support would be Kevin and Nyph. Jungle. Thinking right now. It's actually hard, because there are not so many players from Germany who are good in mid and jungle. I mean, the two mid players that I know in mid are MoMa and Citizen Wayne, who don't play anymore, I think.
But I mean, if you could bring them in a time capsule.
Oh, okay, if I could bring them in a time capsule.
All-time best team.
Alright. All-time best team. Then I would take mid laner, probably MoMa. In IEM, he played really good when he played with AA, Season 1 as well. And I mean, in the past, nRated played jungle when he was like in SK and a bit after that, so I'll probably bring him from that time and let him jungle. Or actually not. Right now I probably put Acer Amazing.
Oh, okay.
He's an Acer, and when I play with him in solo queue, he always got, as I said before, the timings right. He's always there when you need him, and he's probably one of the best German junglers.
Okay. So any final words, message you want to send to anyone?
I would like to say thanks to our sponsors, our recent sponsors as well. Like, we just got sponsored by Myonix, I think, who have really awesome mouzes. Then I would say I would greet my girlfriend, and I would thank my team, because they're awesome, and I think in summer season we will do awesome.
Danke.
Thanks.